Angeloni, and welcome to We All Have Shit, the only bi-weekly podcast that tries to take an honest look at what ails us and moves us forward into the lives we lead. Our show can be accessed through our YouTube channel, the We All Have Shit podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe so that new episodes will come to you automatically. We'll conduct our show with comfort, realism, and sensitivity, and are brief, to the point, and real. Anything that might be difficult for us is on the table, because we all exist in a social context, and we need to help each other as best we can. This is not a place for complaints or negativity, but rather, we strive for positivity and enthusiasm during the challenges we face, because life is here and life is now. Finally, while I may have been a trained and experienced professional counselor in a past life, this is not me now and not our show. Rather, we'll simply talk about our troubles, how we are coping with them, and hopefully make some positive impact on the world around us. So, we are here today. Thank you all for joining us. Our guest today is an old friend of ours, a special friend of ours named John. John was our initial guest way back when, and John was supposed to be our guest a few weeks ago, but he went and had himself a car accident. He's doing better now. But John, please, thank you for joining us. John, please tell me, what's your shit?
Hey Dave, great to be here, and I love talking about my shit because I usually have a chance to walk a bit longer than I normally like. But thank you. It's good to be back to pick up where I left off.
Absolutely.
I really like the fact that even though your podcast states what's your shit, you reflect on the positive aspects of how we can turn those situations into something to help us as opposed to something that hurts us. And I know that's hard to do, but I give you and the podcast a lot of credit because you focus on those individuals who may have run into their fair share of shit, and you're trying to find out, how do you get to the next step? How do we live?
Thank you.
And it's hard.
It's so hard. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It's so easy to develop a negative mindset, negative demeanor, or whatever, because it is. It's challenging, right?
It really is.
Yeah. So to have a positive thing on that, it's not always easy, right? We try our best. So yeah. Thank you, John.
And I think I mentioned to you one time before, Dave, that I certainly had my fair shit, and I'm not here to complain about it. I'm basically here to tell you that, hey, everybody has shit, no matter where you are in life.
Yeah.
And how you deal with it is probably the most important aspect of it.
Okay.
Okay. There's a saying that all ships, I would say, are safest when they're tied up at the dock, right?
Okay.
That's not what they're made for.
Mm.
So what I find is that people who have to regularly deal with shit, sometimes they withdraw and then just stop living. They go from living to existing because they're afraid of something else happening to them again, or they're worn out, or they're tired. And what I try to do is let's work through that. So let's pick up from this standpoint of the first time you had me as a guest, I talked about the astrocytoma brain tumor that occurred out of nowhere.
Right.
It was asymptomatic, and through some questioning, I thought I had a dull headache, and and things just turned out to the point where it was actually a tumor, and I was told that I may not be able to get off the table. So that started a series and history of things. So I thought I was done.
So time-wise, and I apologize.
No.
Time-wise, about how long ago was that, just for our listeners?
I would say about 23 years ago now.
Okay, so that was a little chunk of time, 23 years.
Long time ago.
Long time.
Ago.
Okay, so go ahead. Sorry about that.
You think, okay, well, that's good. Mm-hmm. You dealt with it, you moved on, you found the strength and help from others, from your own spirituality, from whatever resources you can. Okay, we got to do this. Because even though people say, well, this is how I would respond, you really don't know until
Yeah.
you're faced with your own mortality
That's the
at an
truth.
early age of how you're going to respond.
None of us do, right? You hear about things, you're like, well, I would have done it this
Yeah.
way, but you don't know that.
You don't know that.
Okay.
So then fast forward 5 years after that, I was
Okay.
getting an injection in my back for some chronic back pain that I had.
Okay.
And while I had that pain, under fluoroscopy, they meaning the physician, saw a shadow after the fact and said, you know, John, this is not part of the back pain situation, but we saw this shadow and we just thought maybe we would check it out a little bit more. I said,
Oh,
okay.
shit. Okay.
So they called me over and they did more tests.
Okay.
And it ended up that my left kidney was full of cancer, and I didn't even know it. I had renal cell carcinoma.
Wow.
So that started a whole series of questioning. Like, really? I thought I was done with this.
Honest to God.
What's this going to entail now? So psychologically, I'm back in the situation, the same situation as when I was told that I had a brain tumor. It's like, oh my God, you feel it's the end of the world. How am I going to tell my family?
Yeah.
What's the prognosis?
God.
So through a series of events, we went through all the additional testing to ensure that the cancer did not metastasize to any
Okay.
other parts of my body, especially my brain, since I had a previous tumor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fortunately for me, my cancer was entirely encapsulated within the left kidney. So I had
Okay.
to have my left kidney removed. So once they remove your left kidney, you automatically are designated with the stage 2 renal disease in your only good kidney.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
but through various circumstances and situations, I actually have 3rd stage renal disease in my good kidney. But it's stabilized. I see an incredible nephrologist who takes care of me and keeps me on track. I have tried to stay on track by being healthy. You know, when you're faced with 2 serious situations like that, you tend to look for ways to forget about it or ways to deal with it
Yeah.
that you want to forget about.
Yeah, sure.
And as human beings, some of us reach for ways that we think are helping but are actually hurting.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I spent a fair amount of time probably enhancing my alcohol intake.
Okay.
You know, and,
Okay.
and it's hard to say that, but at
Sure.
the time, you think it's normal
Yeah, sure.
because you don't know what else to do. You don't have the tools, maybe, or the experience to
Sure.
deal with serious things in a positive way because you can't get past that emotional block of, oh my God, I'm faced with another thing that's potentially deadly.
So you that's really quite a vicious turnaround, right? So you have the brain thing first.
Right.
You deal with it
Yeah.
in a way that you think it's gone,
Right.
but then a short time later, say 5 years later.
5 years later.
5 years later, you get this other thing. So you got a scan,
Yeah.
and it's really fortunate, I guess, that you had the scan because they found the kidney
Exactly.
thing, right? So that's a good thing. But then, yeah, your whole emotional and mental mindset, I imagine, kicks back into, oh my God, right? So you start to develop coping things
Right.
that aren't healthy necessarily.
No.
Yeah, God.
The exact great point, Dave. You think you're adapting coping skills to
Yeah.
deal with this negativity, but all you're doing is making it worse. Because especially in the case of alcohol, it serves as a depressant.
Yeah.
So it may, for a short period of time, numb you to the reality of the situation, but that's not a healthy way to
It's
address
not.
that.
It's not.
So through some struggles with that, I decided that I had to make a decision eventually.
Yeah.
And that's when I started my journey on to looking for more positive ways to
Okay.
deal with circumstances that we don't expect in life. Unfortunately, the kidney cancer and the removal of the left kidney wasn't the last thing that occurred.
Okay.
In between all of this and subsequent to that, and since then, I've had a number of other issues. I've had, oddly enough, I've had a perforation of my bowel by a salmon bone that caused a.
I'm smiling. I apologize. John and I are good friends.
Yeah.
So a perforation of your bowel from a salmon bone.
Right, salmon bone happened to work its way down my intestines, and before it could dissolve, somehow it find its way to perforate the intestine. So I had to have surgery for that.
That must have been scary.
Very scary and painful, because
Imagine.
that sickness of that
Damn.
sick inside from all that rot. And then I've had 2 surgeries since then for the same issue, but that's resolved itself.
Okay.
I've also had a cadaver disc put in my cervical spine, C5, C6, that was really causing me life issues because I couldn't function because of the pain that was going on, and they finally decided that they needed to address that by addressing the disc.
Okay.
My point is that all these things start coming at us, and we're like, are you kidding me? And then between that, life's happening. Parents may die. In my case, my mom passed away. You know, you're dealing with the trials and tribulations of raising a family, and the positive things and the negative things.
Yeah.
I had moved on from my job at Geisinger. It wasn't working, and I'm thinking, wow, how worse can it get now?
That in and of itself, any one of these things in and of themselves could really fracture a lot of different people, right? So you're just balancing this stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
And it got to the point where I start getting frustrated. And most recently, Dave, I had thought things were going well.
Yeah.
Right? I learned how to at least partially learn how to respond to things that happen to me that I can't control, or things that people say to me that I can't control. The only thing I control is my response.
Yeah.
And I can make my situation worse by lamenting the fact, or being resentful, or being negative, or being bitter, which I'm going to be honest with you, I was for a period of time.
It's hard not to be
It's
sometimes.
hard not to be.
Yeah.
Until I finally said, look, I'm not doing anybody any good by being like this, including myself.
Right.
So the only thing we have control over is how we respond to a situation. We can make it worse, or we could try to deal with it in a constructive way.
That is so true. And so many times you have conversations with people who are either in the process of learning that, or don't know it yet, or they're experts, right?
Absolutely.
Like you, maybe, and they get it already. But you're right. So many times we allow that negativity from other people to creep into us, right? And that's really, it affects you.
It does. It
That's how
really
you
does.
see the
It
world
brings
and
you down.
Yeah.
So you're trying to look for ways to stay upbeat, stay positive, stay happy. And, you know, I thought I was doing a fair job of doing that. I was handling my emotions and trials and tribulations as positively as I can. But of course, I couldn't do it 24/7.
Sure.
React or get depressed. I had a tendency to fall into a deep depression on occasion. So that would occur. And then, you know, I'm getting ready to do your podcast 5 weeks ago. And, you know, true to form, I'm just driving, minding my own business, and somebody ran into me with their vehicle, my vehicle, at 55 miles an hour.
My God.
And that kind of set me back a little bit. Then I really start getting paranoid. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Something else? I mean, both vehicles were totaled. I couldn't get out of the car. And I'm like, oh,
that's scary as hell. Scary as hell.
I said enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I get the fact that people say to me, John, you're so blessed. You survived all these different situations. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But the emotional fortitude that it takes to try to stay positive time after time after time beats you down. You start questioning your religion, you start questioning your existence, you start questioning, like, what's the purpose here? Why you?
Honest to God.
And then in somebody like me, then I start feeling badly that I'm even thinking about feeling sorry for myself because there are so many people, so many worse issues.
You just have to live and walk around, drive around, see people.
Drive around
right?
and see
And you're like,
people.
you know what? I'm so blessed. And you know that on
Yeah.
one level, but on the
Right.
other level, you're like, what the frig is going on?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Oh.
You know? And I'm like, and I started to withdraw
Okay.
into a little bit of a cocoon and say,
Okay.
I just don't want to deal with anything.
Yeah.
And what I did is I said, look, I can't do that. One of the few things that I feel that I'm good at is being present for others.
Sure.
And I don't mean to sound sanctimonious or anything like that. You know,
You're a personable guy.
I just happen to
Yeah.
enjoy interacting with people
Sure.
and cultivating relationships with
Sure.
them and trying to make a difference in their lives.
Okay.
So here I am getting, in my mind, thinking I'm beat up time after time after time. And then I say to myself, well, how am I going to respond to this to make something positive out of this, to be an example for others? And that's when I really had to grab myself by the bootstraps and say, hey, okay, you had your time, you cried, you lamented the fact that you feel you're being picked on, but in the realities of the situation, I'm okay.
Okay.
I need to turn my efforts to those individuals who aren't okay. So how do you do that? Well, I
Okay.
can't do that by being wounded myself. Because if I don't fix myself, I'm just going to bleed all over the other people who I'm trying to help.
You're in the airplane, right? The first thing they tell you is put the
Right.
oxygen mask on your face first before you help
Exactly.
others, right? That's so.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, when I remove myself from, in my term, society for a short period of time, you know,
Okay.
people are thinking, oh, what's wrong with him? Whatever.
Sure.
I just needed to recover, regroup,
Yeah.
and then reflect on myself that if I truly want to continue to make a difference in this world, I can't lament on the bullshit that happened to me. I have to turn that into, hey, tough guy, you survived this stuff, all right?
Yeah.
Let's take what we learned from it and see if we could help others with that.
Okay.
So I try to make myself available to individuals who have gone through some serious situations.
Okay.
And I'm certainly, you know, like I said, compared to what other people have gone through, my stuff, my shit could be really small, but it's all relative,
It's
right?
all
It's like what
relative,
happens
yeah.
to you. Because
Absolutely.
you're not thinking about everybody else, you're only
Right.
thinking about yourself.
Right.
And
So it's like a concentrated effort on your part to be available
yes,
to other people.
yeah.
Okay, and this is something you had to motivate yourself to
I
get to
did.
that point.
I really did. I had to motivate myself to stop wallowing in my own shit.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to,
Okay.
right? It comes down to you get so caught up in your own shit that you forget that there's another world out there.
Yeah.
And in comparison to what you have going on, you know, I'm still gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And how can I use my skill set to help others who may either be in the same situation or a worse situation?
Yeah.
And that's where it comes down to.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, a lot of us tend to retreat into our own private, secure spaces. And I get that. But as I said before, that's not what I'm made for. That's not-
It's almost like not to interrupt you, but it's
No.
almost like when that happens with people, I've always considered stuff like that like a coping mechanism. Like I can't do anything else. I don't have the skill set. I don't recognize the needs of others and things like that. So I have nothing else to do but to retreat on myself
Right.
in an effort to make, things better. But yeah, so that's, wow, John, that's a big step.
Yeah, and you know, and don't get me wrong, Dave. Sometimes I'm still way down.
Okay.
But I want to believe that, the Dalai Lama said at one time the whole purpose of religion is to facilitate love, compassion, patience, tolerance, humility, and forgiveness.
Wow.
And I think that's a wonderful wonderful summary of what religion should be.
Okay.
And I look at that and I say, you know what, you're right. And you know, my religion is quite simple. I'm not in a place where I could tell you that I belong to any one organized religious group.
Okay.
I could tell you I'm spiritual. And people ask me, John, what's the difference between being religious and spiritual?
There is a difference.
There
But
is
go
a
ahead,
difference.
please. Yeah, let me hear your thoughts.
And I had someone who was in a similar situation to me say to me one time, say, John, you know what I think the difference is? Religion is when you're afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is when you may have experienced it already.
Oh, that's good.
And that's a big perspective.
All right, say it again. Religion is when you're afraid.
You know, you're religious if you're afraid to go to hell. You're spiritual if you already experienced it, or think you've already experienced it.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good. That's good. There's so much. There's many different religions, right? And we all have. Many of us have been raised into a certain religion, faith, the dogma, right, around whatever faith it is.
Right.
But spirituality is something different. You know,
Exactly.
it's faith-based living,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The golden rule, if you will, like treat others the way you want to be treated, things like that.
Right.
Okay, so John, just let me just surmise a little bit. So there's a lot of shit that we're talking about here, right? So you summarize where you were at the beginning when we started talking about this.
Right.
You talked about the brain thing that we talked about the last time. Your back, the kidney thing, alcohol, the coping stuff, you name it. Your bowel, the bone from the fish.
Yeah.
A cadaver thing was placed inside you.
Sure.
Mental health challenges. So
Right.
there's been a number of things, and I can't, say enough about your willingness to be here today to talk with us, right? And just living your life in a positive way.
And and I'll tell you what, I enjoy being here because, it's not something you go out on the street and you talk to people when you meet them and things
Sure.
like that. But I appreciate the forum to be able to express myself and tell you about my healing journey.
Okay.
Right? And it doesn't mean that everything's okay, because it's not. I continue to see multiple physicians on a regular basis, whatever, but you need to move forward. And this is not an original thought, Dave, but I did not come up with this. I don't know who said it, so I can't tell you, but I remember hearing that healing doesn't mean that the damage never existed.
Okay.
On the contrary, it means that the damage no longer controls your life. And that's the thing we have to remember. We can't forget the things that happened to us because they're almost impossible to forget.
It's
they
a
leave
scar.
lasting scars,
It's
right?
a
Exactly.
scar, right? You can't change that.
But you can't let that control your perception of the universe, your perception of you, your family, your friends, your profession.
That's deep.
You really can't. You just have to make sure that it doesn't control you.
Control. That's a key notion to touch on with this, right? So we're all hurt by things physically,
Absolutely.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We're all affected by the world around us, right?
Yes.
And that's, I guess, what the purpose of doing this is, to just help everybody understand that we're all dealing with things that are really challenging for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And we just have to find a way to turn that, be as positive as we can,
Right.
and how we cope with it. And there's
Right.
1,000 different coping strategies.
Well, absolutely. Make sure they're positive, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Because the quick thing is to deaden your pain as quickly as you can. And that sometimes is not the best way to do it.
It's drugs and alcohol,
Right.
and other things like that aren't like healthy per se, but yeah.
Not healthy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I have the opportunity now to talk to people about how best to deal with their pain, their anguish, whether it's physical, emotional. And I really, really enjoy doing that. And I thank you for the opportunity to be involved in this forum, because this is another way that I get to talk about my experience without feeling sorry for myself, and telling someone else, hey, look, this might happen to you.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to let people know is that there's, we always want to put things off. I'm going to call that old friend next month. I'm going to make amends with my family member, or maybe I'll wait till Christmas. Maybe I won't do it at all.
We all have that.
Really, listen,
True.
People have to understand. We're just renting this life for a very short period of time.
That's right.
Sometimes tomorrow becomes never. So if there's something you need to do,
do it.
Do it.
Do it.
What are you waiting for? You're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have enough time. We all spend time trying to find excuses of why we can't do something. Maybe we should try to spend more time on finding ways we can do something.
Yes.
Especially those positive things that affect change in somebody or something that will come back and affect positivity in us.
Damn.
That's the way it is, man.
That's so good. That is so deep, John. You're 100% right, and that's human nature, I think. Like some of those challenges, right? We could deal with them today, but it's so much easier to say, well, maybe tomorrow. Or
right.
maybe you're driving down the street, so my buddy lives up there. I really need to mend the fence or whatever. With that individual, I'll do it next time, tomorrow or whatever. But that might not come.
No, it might not come. Take the proactive approach.
Take it proactive. Okay.
Do it, man.
Okay.
Life is very short.
Damn, John. All right. So this conversation has really taken a philosophical and like an existential turn with our conversation. I mean, thank you so much for bringing that out with everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what actually helped me is reading about different forms of spirituality and coping and those tricks and tips to bring up that courage from the bowels of your existence to try to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's all good, but allow yourself to understand the gravity of your situation, but don't stay there and wallow in your shit. The point is, move forward.
Understand it. Don't ignore it.
Right.
Understand it. Acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Right. This happened to me, or this sucks, and I'm really struggling with this. But move forward.
Don't make it a life sentence.
Don't make it a life sentence. Don't let it control you.
No. You're letting something that is negative control your existence. Why? We're better than that.
We are.
And that not only do we do it for ourselves, but use that power to help others. And in helping others, you are helping yourself.
That is so true. And the reality is, and you know people like I know people. There's so many people out there that are better than us with that kind of mentality.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people that aren't.
Right.
They don't have they don't have the capacity or whatever. So it's challenging.
Yes.
It's challenging. Okay, John. I am so grateful to you, and I'm going to say the same thing to you today that I said to you at the conclusion of our last time we got together. You are welcome back. Anytime whatsoever. Okay, I mean that.
And I appreciate that, Dave. Yeah. I've been following your podcast, and I think not only is this a great exercise for you because you're dealing with your own personal struggles, but getting perspective on how other people deal with their struggles.
It's so helpful.
and individuals out there are listening to this and say, you know what? That's great.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that. I'm not alone. Somebody else is suffering just like I suffered.
That's right.
Most of these people are suffering way more than I've suffered.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, telling you my problems, and I'm thinking there's people out there who may not see tomorrow.
God, that's so true.
We have to use what we've learned to be present for them.
Yeah.
And for, everybody else that matters in our life.
Do what we can, right? Do what we can. All right.
Thank you.
No, John. So thank you everyone for listening here. But John, we end the show with a close. I'm going to give you an opportunity for a closing thought. Whether it's a summation of our discussion here today or just something different. It could be a prayer, a song lyric, whatever the heck you want to do. So I'm gonna turn that over to you at this point. Tell me what you got.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. And I hope in some small way my situation can resonate with somebody else who may be struggling.
Okay.
But in the end, no matter what our situations are, number one, you're not alone. And number two, I like to focus on another quote by the Dalai Lama, and pretty much states this: our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. And when we get weighed down with all our problems, we may not be doing what we need to do, not only for ourselves, but for others. So, hey,
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Help others, and if we can't help them, at least
Don't hurt them.
don't hurt them.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. John, thank you so much. And thank you all for spending some time with us and for listening to We All Have Shit. Remember that even though we'll always have some kind of shit in our lives, the best we can do is stay positive, have faith, and help where we can. So until next time, onward.